Hey guys, it's Candy. Welcome back to Our Family Nest. So you can tell by the title of today's video that I'm going to be sharing with you guys my experience with COVID-19. Back when I first tested positive and had developed symptoms, I told myself that this just wasn't something I was ever going to share publicly with you guys. I just feel that the topic comes with a lot of controversy, a lot of opinions, a lot of debates that I just wasn't comfortable opening myself up to be vulnerable to the kind of scrutiny that this topic was going to bring. And it wasn't until I really felt like I was on the mend from COVID and I started developing the worst anxiety that I've ever experienced in my life. And you guys know that over the months I have shared with you different experiences that I've had, having panic attacks, experiencing anxiety, just going through different things, similar situations in my own life. And I actually had a conversation with my oldest son and I said, I really felt pulled to speak up and share my story because as I was experiencing the different things that I was and going through my moments of Googling things through tears, I have never felt so alone and confused and just like lost. And I thought if I could share my story and somehow make one person, hopefully even more than one person, who's gone through this or could go through this in the future, feel not so alone and feel that hopefully there is light at the end of this tunnel. I try so hard every single day to think positive and hope and pray that each day will get a little bit easier. But this has been one of the biggest struggles of my life, and I just feel like I need to share my story. I feel like people need to understand that COVID isn't just the stuff that you see on TV, that you hear about on the news, that you hear everybody debate about. There's this whole other side to COVID that comes after you've recuperated from COVID that you're left to deal with, sometimes for months and months and months to come. So that's what I'm here to share with you guys today. One thing that I had written down several nights ago was that I feel that social media has done a really good job in teaching us that mental health is a problem that we can talk about openly. There's no reason to feel ashamed. No matter what it is that you're going through, whether it be anxiety, depression, we should never ever be afraid to ask for help. So I am very thankful today to be able to share that this video is sponsored by BetterHelp, Better H-E-L-P. If you've never heard of BetterHelp before, it is professional therapy done securely online. When you sign up for BetterHelp, they're going to assess your needs and then they're going to match you with your own licensed professional therapist. A couple of great points is you're going to be able to begin speaking with someone within 48 hours. They have a network of over 20,000 therapists and a broad range of expertise, so you're going to be matched with somebody that is specifically experienced and knowledgeable in whatever it is that you may need help with. And you may not get that if you would go to see a therapist locally. The service is available to clients worldwide, and you can go onto your account and message your therapist any time of the day, which I think is amazing because if you're anything like me, like I have the most thoughts in my head that I would love to communicate late at night. And then you'll get timely messages back from your therapist, and you can also schedule weekly video or phone therapy sessions, and you don't have to worry about that like awkwardness, waiting in a room before your appointment, maybe running into somebody that you know, which may not bother some people, but I know is always in the back of my mind. Just keep in mind, it's not a crisis line, it's not self-help, it is professional online therapy. So BetterHelp always wants to make sure that you're matched with the best therapist possible, so if at any time you need to switch therapists, you're able to do so. And this method of online therapy is more affordable than your normal offline therapy sessions, and there is also financial aid available. So BetterHelp wants you to start living a happier life today. So as a special offer to our viewers, you can go to betterhelp.com/ourfamilynest and get 10% off your first month. So join the over 1 million people who are taking charge of their mental health with the help of an experienced professional by going to BetterHelp, that's HELP.com/ourfamilynest, and joining today. So I think one of the main questions that I probably would get if I told somebody that I had COVID-19 would be, where did you get it? How did you feel? What were your symptoms? And so forth. So can got COVID before me, and honestly his symptoms were just like a cold or flu. We probably would have never even thought that it was anything other than a normal sickness until on his 4th day he didn't have taste or smell. Right away we knew that it was COVID, most likely anyways, because I know they do say sometimes you can get sick with a sinus infection and that sort of thing and possibly lose your taste. But to lose both taste and smell, we were like, it's probably COVID. So he went and got tested, and then I had set up a test for myself the very next day. So that particular weekend he tested positive. I didn't have any energy. I just felt really tired and run down, and also probably a little stressed out, thinking, okay, great, I probably have COVID now too, sleeping in the same bed, that sort of thing. The likelihood of 2 married people getting it from each other is kind of high. So I went and got tested on a Monday, and on that particular day I woke up sore throat, coughing, sneezing, just again, typical kind of cold symptoms. Then the following day, on Tuesday, I started with the body aches and the headache, and it really kind of started to kick my butt. So for pretty much that whole week, I just gradually was starting to get a little bit worse each day. So a little bit of the anxiety was creeping in at that point, because I would go to bed at night upstairs, quarantined in a room by myself. As soon as Ken tested positive, we went to separate rooms. So here I was not really sleeping well because I was in an uncomfortable bed, and kind of when I would go to bed at night, each day I just was starting to think, like, when am I going to wake up and not be able to breathe? Like, I was sort of setting myself up for it getting that bad. Like, I just had this fear, because you see the stories, you can't avoid seeing all the worst case scenarios of people that end up in the hospital. Luckily that never happened, and after about a week I really felt like my symptoms were subsiding. I was still coughing, but my sinuses were clearing up. I stopped sneezing. I didn't have the body aches anymore, and I felt like I was on the mend. For whatever reason, I can specifically recall about 8 p.m. on Saturday night, I was like, wow, I think I really feel better. I think I beat this. I think I'm good. Next thing you know, I'm laying in bed watching TV, and I was up the whole entire night. I literally watched the sun come up. So at the time, I remember thinking, like, this just must be because I've literally gotten so much rest the past 7 days that my body was just like, hey, you're recovered. You don't need to sleep anymore. You need to get out of bed. You need to go do something. I really, to this day, really don't have any idea why I had a day where I was up over 24 hours. I remember Ken getting up and letting the dogs out about 7:30 in the morning, and I did doze off for about 2 hours. And then I was up like a normal day. And then I wrote some notes down also from that day, that particular day I had zero appetite. I would make myself food. I couldn't eat. I felt like my heart was racing all day. My mind was racing. I couldn't concentrate. I couldn't watch anything on TV. If I tried to sit still on the couch, it just made me more and more anxious. Like, I literally felt like I was losing my mind. And what was weird is this is the time when I started I'd get a text from a friend, how are you feeling today? And I would say, I don't know what's going on. I feel so much better, but all of a sudden I have so much anxiety. I don't know what's happening. And I kept having more and more people as time was going on saying, I went through that too when I had COVID, or my mom went through that, or so-and-so that I know went through that. So I started doing a little bit more and more research and finding different articles, not really backed up. There's not a lot of studies being done on this, but there is information out there if you search on this post-COVID recovery period that sometimes can last months and months of lingering headaches, sleeplessness, anxiety, even depression, especially for those who have had to spend any amount of time in the hospital, which I'm so grateful that that wasn't me, that I didn't have to go through that. I remember telling my mom, I'm like, if I end up having to go in the hospital, they're probably going to have to sedate me, because I just felt that anxious and upset and just fear is the best word. huge fear of going in the hospital, and if I do, I may never leave. Like, I just know that that was something that I really struggled with. So that particular night, I had told Ken, I need to come back to sleep in our bed. At that point, Ken had actually already had a antibody infusion. He went into the hospital. I'm going to kind of just save the details of what he went through with his COVID for his story. If he decides he wants to share with you guys, maybe we'll have this conversation in another video at another time. His situation was a lot different than mine, and but just for the sake of timing wise, he was past his 10 days. He had this antibody infusion. We both already have tested positive for COVID at that point. I'm like, for my mental health, I need to sleep in my own bed tonight. I need to try to get a good night's sleep. So I had gone to bed at 9 o'clock at night. When he came to bed at midnight, because he was feeling better by then, you got to remember his timeline of everything was like 5 days ahead of my timeline. So when he went to bed and was letting the dogs out and everything, it woke me up. And then that's when the worst night ever happened. That is when I started having panic attacks. I started pacing the room. I was like hot and sweaty. I can't breathe. I can't act out how my breathing was, but it was like it is when you're having a panic attack. Like just trying to catch your breath. I'm crying. I'm telling him I'm freaking out. I'm like, I would literally be like this. Like, I don't know what is happening. My head, I can't concentrate. I can't think. It just feels like something is inside my head. Like, I cannot even put into words how scary it felt. And finally, after what felt like maybe 20 minutes, he says, you need to take one of my Valium. Now you guys know I had experience not too long ago when we came back from Vegas back in March, I believe it was, where I had a panic attack on the airplane, and I took one of his Valium then. I was always worried to take one that, like, what if I would have a bad reaction to it, because I've never taken anything like that before. But being I had taken it before and it worked for me on the airplane, okay, fine, take it again. Within probably 10, 12 minutes, I remember just laying in the bed, not really laying, but sitting up in the bed, like just taking these slow, like deep breaths, concentrating on my breathing and feeling like, okay, all right, this is calming me down. It's working. And it's like I felt a sense of calmness for about 15 minutes or so. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go to sleep. I'm gonna be able to get some rest. And the minute I would lay my head down on the pillow, immediately this like, I'd always refer to it almost like a monster. This monster would just pop up in my head and be like, nope, not gonna happen, not gonna fall asleep. And by the way, I don't recommend ever taking medication that's not prescribed to you. I do not 0% advise that, just for the record. So anyways, I pop up and he's like, let's go for a car ride. So here we are at 1 o'clock in the morning. He's just driving me around our town. Window rolled down. I remember I took my bed pillow with me. So I'm literally in my pajamas in his truck like this with my head, and just the wind, fresh air blowing into the truck. And it felt so nice. Like if I could have anything, I would have been like, just drive me around like this all night long, because it felt amazing. I didn't really want to fall asleep, because then I was afraid if I fall asleep and then I had to be woken back up to be brought into the house, that the anxiety is going to just kick back in. So I'm like, let's just keep thinking peaceful thoughts, thinking positive. We're going to go in the house and we're going to be able to fall asleep. Unfortunately, that did not happen. I actually had a friend who is a night owl, just like me. Typically, I'm a night owl until all of this. And she had texted me, like, I want to say it was like 11:45 at night, because I had texted her earlier in the day. So she responded to my text really late. So I'm like, who knows? Maybe she's still up. She always stays up so late watching Netflix and stuff. So I texted her. I'm like, you still up? And she's like, yeah. So told Ken, go to bed. I'm going to be fine. I'm going to call my friend. And we talked on the phone until 3 in the morning, until I was to the point where literally I felt like I can't talk another second. I'm so tired. I'm gonna get off the phone and I'm gonna go right to sleep. And I did. I was able to go to sleep. No more panic attacks that night. So the next day, wake up. Sorry, these are just the 2 days that are the most, like, if anyone has gone through this, gonna be the most relatable, or even for future, if someone, you know, whatever. These are the 2 most distinguishable days. So next day then, wake up, just feel so much anxiety throughout the whole entire day. Again, can't eat, zero appetite. I don't know what that's all about. I cleaned the house for like 6 hours straight. Bathroom from floor to ceiling, scrubbed every wall, nook and cranny, vacuumed the whole house, dusted the whole house. I had a bunch of packages that needed opened from like brand deals and stuff, organized a bunch of stuff. I just would not let myself sit still that whole entire day because I felt like if I sat still for even 5 minutes, I was gonna lose my freaking mind. And I'm literally, like, I couldn't tell you how many times I would have a moment where my mom would call me or one of my friends would call me and how are you doing? And then I just break down crying because I felt like I was losing my mind. Like, so not in control of my thoughts at all. And that's just not a good thing to feel. Since then, let's just go ahead and fast forward because otherwise this video is gonna end up being an hour long. Fast forward to kind of how I am coping today. So you guys know I had the doctor appointment coming up on Wednesday. By the time you're watching this, that appointment will have already taken place. I plan to share my experience. I feel like you guys are invested in my story, not just with COVID and the anxiety that I'm feeling from that, but just my anxiety situation that I was getting when working out with my personal trainer, then on the airplane. One time I was getting my hair done. It's like, my gut tells me this is probably hormonal, and I would feel like that would actually be great because that could hopefully be an easy fix, but we'll see. I hope that the doctor doesn't just like say, you need to go see this, that, and the other doctor, and can help me like do some blood work, do some testing. Let's find some answers. Like, I'm hoping that that's the route this goes. So anyways, in the meantime, I had gone to, with the advice of a friend, I had gone to a health food store, and I walked in and I told them my situation, explained what I had been feeling, and they're like, I know just the thing. We have this pill, it's all natural, not prescription, that a lot of people have been taking to help with their anxiety and nervousness. You can take it up to twice a day. I don't want to share what that is because I would never want someone to like go out and take a medication because I shared it, or do you know what I mean? Like, do your own research, go to your own health food store, like, you know what I mean? Hopefully that makes sense to you guys. And then I also have a melatonin product that has, it's a slow release melatonin, and it has a couple other ingredients in it as well. I forget what they are, but it's also provides stress relief, and it is a melatonin product that is supposed to help keep you asleep, not just put you to sleep, I guess, if that makes sense. At the health food store, she gave me a book on melatonin. I still have not read it. I have a lot to learn when it comes to this kind of stuff. I never would have thought here Carly has been dealing with all her issues with sleeping and melatonin and all this kind of stuff, and never would have thought at all ever that I would be someone that needed something like that to help me sleep through the night. I almost feel like I jinxed myself because I remember having a conversation with someone not too long ago about how, oh, I never have problems sleeping. I'm out like a light, 8 hours a night, no problem. Like, I get up maybe to pee once in a while because, you know, I'm older. That happens when you drink a lot of water like I do. I just never would have thought that I would be somebody who, I'm now lucky if I sleep about 2 to 3 hours and I end up waking up. Currently, I will say that I try to deal with my anxiety with counting, even though I'm taking these pills to help me go to sleep and help me keep sleeping. It's definitely not something that I feel like is really that effective. I want to say I might be at like a 60%. It's better than nothing. However, it's definitely not the end all be all. I have to do a lot of, when I lay down and I start to feel anxiety, I'll turn the TV on. I don't watch the television because for some reason, sometimes that makes me more anxious. And if you guys have any tips and like how you experience the same thing, other methods that I can try, I'll turn the volume down low, but yet I can still hear that the TV's on and see the light of the TV. I will lay my head down and I will count to 20, and then I'll count to 20 backwards. And then maybe I'll count to 50 and I'll count to 50 backwards. And I'll just keep doing that until I fall asleep. It doesn't always work. I want to say maybe 75% of the time. The other 25%, I ended up getting back up, walking around the house. I do a lot of pacing. Sometimes I'll just turn the TV on in the family room and then just straighten the pillows, fold the blankets, clean up the dog toys, try to distract myself with something else. And then maybe 15 minutes later, go back into my bed and try again. It's been, I don't know. I don't know why when I really start to dig deep in my heart of how I feel, why it's so hard to come up with the words, because I've never felt so out of control of my own well-being. And here it is, 3 weeks now. I haven't exercised at all because Ken and I both have said, even though, like we're weeks out of this, our bodies just don't feel 100%. You get tired a lot quicker. You don't have the energy level that you used to. And I do feel that it probably goes hand in hand. Like my goal today, I actually have like workout pants on right now. I just changed my top to make this video. I put workout clothes on this morning thinking that, okay, I'm gonna work out today. It's not gonna be at the level that I'm used to, but I'm gonna do a little bit today, and then a little bit more the next day, and a little bit more the next day. I just couldn't bring myself to do it. I do sort of think that maybe once I start, each day might get a little bit easier, and I think the exercise will be good for me. I've read in several places that exercise is good for anxiety, so I'm not afraid to like get on the treadmill and like run, like, oh my gosh, my lungs can't handle it because of COVID or anything like that. Like that's not the fear. It's more so that my body just feels like it's aged. It's just not where it was before I got COVID. So I do have this lingering cough. That's why I have my water down here. I've had to stop talking quite a few times because the more you talk, the more the cough kicks in. I do sort of feel like the cough is still lingering, but then I'm one of these people who kind of has a lingering cough often in the fall and winter months anyways. Like I said, I don't know if anything that I've shared today is going to help anyone, if it's going to be relatable, if there's going to be anybody that has gone through this. I'd love to hear from you if you have any tips in terms of things that you've had to do to help you sleep. This is definitely the first time I've ever been in a YouTube video and reached out looking for advice on sleeping methods because, again, I've never had this problem. I will say the by far other big problem that I'm dealing with is what a lot of people refer to as the brain fog, the lack of concentration, feeling like I can't complete tasks. I spend a lot of time sitting in my office chair, staring out into the distance, wasting a lot of time. It takes me a long time to construct an email, edit a video. It's draining. It feels emotionally draining, physically draining. I just don't feel like I'm myself in terms of like how I normally am when it comes to completing work. Like I'm a workaholic. Like I can easily put in a 10-hour day of nonstop work where then sometimes kind of go to bed and be like, are you done yet? And now it'll be like 9 o'clock at night. I can't wait to take my bath, followed by my steam shower, followed by my medicine, and then prayers that I can at least get 6 or so hours of total sleep in a night. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching this today. I really appreciate it, and we'll talk next time. Make it a great day, guys. Bye.